An author reading by Nicole Chardenet from Sumer Lovin.
Our next author up, Nicole Chardenet, is tremendously talented, and as a fan of sort of humorous fantasy content, people like Terry Brooks, she's actually one of my favorite authors in that style. I read Sumer Lovin, and it made me a little bit more nervous about mating with the ancient love goddesses, but I have to tell you, it's a tremendous read. Nicole's book, Sumer Lovin, is published by Duvalier, publishing in Canada. It's a Canadian writers plus collective based in Quebec. Apparently other Duvalier authors will in fact be reading in Ottawa and Montreal in June, so that's something to look forward to. Nicole is also the author of Young Republican Yuppie Princess, an extremely funny story of young college students in the 80s finding a portal in their dorm room, a shower leading to another world. It's one of the sorts in sorcery fantasy style. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to welcome Nicole Chardenet. Thanks so much.
Thank you, folks. Thanks, everybody here for joining us. I understand sex and violence is real popular, right? Woohoo! Everybody likes sex and violence? Okay, well, Stephen provided the violence, and so I thought I'd provide a little spice. You ready for a little spice today? Sumer Lovin is my novel set here in Toronto, and it's basically about the dating travails that various people have trying to meet and find the right person here. Complicated by an earthquake which opens up a bunch of portals around the city, upon which some interesting characters from the ancient Samaria come out around the city and start creating all kinds of havoc. For example, the Canaanite Liberation Front from the Old Testament, who would like to reclaim Canaan from the Hebrews. Unfortunately, due to a tragic map accident, they wound up in Canada. So it gets a little crazy. The book is available in ebook format and paperback on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a new Canadian distributor if you would like to support a new Canadian startup company, Red Tooth Books, which focuses exclusively on Canadian authors and does their best to get us out all throughout Canada. Okay. The earthquake was also the hot topic of conversation down the street at the Eaton Center shopping mall, where weary shoppers rested with their shoe store and Bay Company bags on the benches, curving around what one might call the stealth sexual fountain. The SSF is weirdly mesmerizing, although few visitors ever figure out exactly what is so gratifying about watching it. Mostly they hang around for the grand explosion, but few grasp the symbolism. The SSF is a large bowl with an impressively phallic-shaped fountain in the middle, which for several minutes gently cascades water into the bowl, which slowly and casually builds up to the brim until suddenly the water drains down through an opening at the bottom of the bowl. And if you wait, just wait. Oh yes, just wait. It's coming! It's coming! Suddenly, with a mighty rumble, the fountain jets forth a powerful column of water that almost reaches the skylight above. And we're talking a 3-story complex here, people. And then it does it again, and then again. Observers often squeal from the excitement. On this lazy afternoon, people watched as the water slowly built up into the symbolical bowl and waited with anticipation for the grand climax. Except this time, the water didn't drain down after reaching the halfway mark. This time, the white fountain rumbled and shook, and several shoppers gasped audibly, grabbing their bags and wondering whether they should hang on to their benches or run for dear life in case this was an earthquake aftershock. And then their attention was drawn to the fountain, and they realized something was happening in this very center. Something dark and brown began to rise up, like it was on some unseen lift. It rose up through the apparatus of the fountain and looked like it might be sort of human. And then the fountain stopped, and the water began to drain down, and in the center of the metal frame stood an extremely beautiful, if awfully thin, even in these supermodel-obsessed times, and thoroughly soaked young woman. She was tall and gorgeous, if awfully lean, with full breasts and dark brown nipples. Her skin was a burnished bronze, perfect and flawless. Her belly was flat, and her waist so cinched you could count her ribs. Her hips jutted out. Her bottom was comprised of 2 heart-rendingly rounded bowls that glistened invitingly. drops of crystal clear water slid sensuously down her long, slim thighs, which melted into her thin calves, which ended in impossibly tiny ankles and delicate brown feet, as smooth as a newborn baby's. If anyone had had the courage to pull out a ruler and measure the downy and inviting cleft between her hips, they'd have found a perfect isosceles triangle, although it's unknown if anyone would have survived the attempt, which no one did. Her face possessed an unearthly beauty, high cheekbones supporting a pair of huge, dark, elongated eyes lined with lush lashes. Her two delicate, curved eyebrows hovered like angels above. Her dark, wet, melted chocolate hair fell halfway down her back. In any other time and place, she would have been considered unnaturally thin, but in the 21st century, she could have easily signed a contract to model for Abercrombie and Fitch. The mysterious woman stepped forward, balancing on the edge of the fountain mechanism. No easy feat, considering their sharp edges, but she posed as though standing on cushy green grass. She looked around a bit haughtily, surveying the semicircle of shocked faces and dropped jaws. "Holy shit! Who the hell is that?" asked one chubby middle-aged man, who hadn't yet noticed that his chubby middle-aged wife looked like she'd just swallowed a live grenade. "Shukr Allah!" one young Muslim man breathed as he gazed up at the awesome creature. Allahu Akbar! "Brandon, don't look!" cried a mother as she tried to cover her 13-year-old son's eyes. But he wrenched away and looked anyway, his eyes the size of Hummer off-road tires. "I love Canada!" cried an Indonesian man who was only in Toronto for his sister's wedding, but decided right there to apply for immigration. The unearthly woman nimbly leaped forward and landed on the lip of the bowl. It was smooth and exquisitely choreographed with no loss of balance, the most fluid, graceful motion anyone had ever seen, although her breast bounced momentarily and shook free some drops of water, which landed on the Indonesian man's head, who promptly fainted from the excitement. "Damn, I'm starving to death," she said, looking around as though this was the Mandarin buffet. And the stealth sexual fountain ejaculated toward the ceiling, its impressive explosion hanging for one brief moment in space, then splitting up into tiny foamy ejaculates and falling dramatically back into the bowl. And again. And once more. Except now, for the first time in anyone's memory, it actually splattered forcefully against the skylight. Thank you. Anyone need a cigarette?
Thanks so much, Nicole. I'm having a sudden urge to go down to the Eaton Center for some reason. Perhaps Abercrombie and Fitch, I'm not sure. That was Nicole Chardenet. I'm just going to read about her being funny.
These video readings brought to you by the works of Stephen B. Pearl. For information, please visit www.stphenperl.com. Available through fine bookstores everywhere, including Amazon at www.amazon.com/author/Stephen Pearl, STPHENPEARL.